call this meeting of the Coyote Button City School District 52 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. We will move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any comments, questions, modifications?
I've got something to add to the consent agenda, please. Excuse me. The board should have received an email from Director of Finance Hassel earlier. We had some vouchers come in after the board agenda was approved. So we'd like to add these vouchers, and I will read them to you with the amounts. So we're adding voucher number 14 in the amount of $46,083.06. Voucher number 1072 in the amount of $37,299.18. And voucher 1073, the amount of $1,467.34.
You mind repeating that last one?
1073 in the amount of $1,467.34. Those are the only changes. These are, yes, normal, and they just came in after we had printed the agenda with the voucher amounts on them and wanted to add them since we had the meeting tonight.
Do we have any approval with the agenda as modified with the addition of the vouchers?
We approve the amended agenda.
All in favor of the approval of the amended agenda?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we move on to delegations.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. We have the FBLA group here, and you're not Clay, you're Carrie. So Carrie's actually much more informed about this than Clay is. So Carrie, I'll introduce you to just come up and introduce your folks that are here, and we got some cool stuff going on. So please come on up.
I'm gonna let them.
Absolutely.
Good evening, everyone. We're here at FBLA, and we're going to talk about what FBLA is and a little bit more about state. So we'll go through and we'll introduce, each of us will introduce ourselves, and then we'll tell you what we competed in. So to start us off, hi, my name is Theron Harding. I competed in public speaking and visual design.
Hello, my name is Lorena Chavez. I competed in job interview and visual design.
My name is Isaiah Sanchez, and I competed in coding and programming.
So I have a little demonstration here from my competition. When I'd gone to state, this had brought me to the finals. So I made it to the final 12 in FBLA. And so before we get started with that, I just want to talk about FBLA a little bit, and specifically our advisor. Going through FBLA, this is my first year, and as I've gone through this year, I've noticed that FBLA would not be what it is without Miss Bird. The countless hours that she puts into it and helping us individually has really benefited me, and I would speak for all of us when I say that. She's helped us with so many things. So I think we should start us off. So,
Not tell them to say that.
no, I said it all on my own. It is true, very much so. Would anyone like to come up and volunteer to spin the wheel? First to start off. Anyone? Would you like to, Ms. Pearson?
I think you should do one of our newer board members personally.
I can do it since I'm on the end.
Perfect. Alright, for visual design, this was the board that I had done. It has questions, or it has basically just information about the history, the chapter, and the benefits of FBLA. So I had them spin a wheel and pick a topic, and if they had gotten the question right, they had gotten whatever monetary value that they had picked. Alright, go ahead and give it a spin. What is it?
Well, it's on the line of benefits and check.
Which one would you like to do?
We can do chapter.
Perfect, alright. Well, I have no money with me, but would you like 100, 500, or 1,000?
100.
100? Okay. What benefits can students gain from joining FBLA? A, communication, B, leadership, C, teamwork skills, or D, all of the above?
Definitely all of the above.
Congratulations, if I had money here, you would have won $100. And so basically, the judges had gone through and they had gained knowledge with FBLA while playing a little game. The goal of it was that it stayed in their mind while hopefully the goal was to recruit them for FBLA. So that was a little bit about our presentation. Do you guys have any questions?
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool, yeah.
Thank you.
How many are, oh, sorry, go ahead.
If I would have known it was multiple choice, I would have.
How many are in FBLA?
So there are 6 of us in total, 5 stayed, and 2 of them unfortunately couldn't make it today, but there is 5 of us that went. Yes. Does anyone else have any questions? No? Alrighty. Thank you guys so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank
MP made finals, I just wanna add, there was the largest turnout for FBLA state this year, and there was like 3,000 kids.
Holy cow.
So to place in the top 12 for us was fantastic.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Good job.
Good job, Darren.
Use your board, they don't want to spin again.
Does anyone?
Need it later.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Have a good night.
All right, that was pretty cool.
That was very,
Very engaging. We will move on to the proposed consent agenda. Do you have any, the proposed consent agenda with the additions that he added earlier? Do we have any comments, questions?
Main thing I saw was, it's trap club, not tap club.
You want to dance?
Or is it trap club called tap dancing?
It's just at the heading on that discussion, I think it's
the minutes.
in the minutes, yeah.
Oh, minutes, gotcha. I was like,
I'm
I don't
sorry.
see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bottom of page 2, Heidi.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll just approve with the correction.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a motion for approval?
I move that we approve the proposed consent agenda with the additions and edits.
All in, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself over here. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right, we will move on to public comment. Do we have any electronic? Do we have anybody here for public comment? Okay, let me read our little smooth thing. Okay. The board welcomes input from the community. Please follow the public comment procedure by stating your name at the podium when recognized by the chair. Each person is allowed 3 minutes to speak in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. The board is not allowed to discuss items not on the agenda. The board will direct the superintendent to follow up on any items that arise during public comment as appropriate. The board will not allow complaints against an individual, staff member, or student in open session unless that individual has requested an open public hearing. No student or employee names can be used.
Good evening, my name is Tawny Chase. I'm not sure what brought each of you to sit in these chairs, but I want to be very clear about why I'm here. I've lived in Benton City for 20 years, and I have 2 students in this district, and they will graduate from this school. Although I'm a Richland High graduate, go Bombers, this district is my home. My family is invested here. I've also sat in your seats before. I previously served as vice chair of this board, and I understand your role. Your job is to hire, fire, and set policies The most important is to hire a superintendent whose values are reflected and are a vision of this community. Last week, I emailed each and every one of you. I did not ask difficult questions. I did not receive a single acknowledgement of that email. Why I'm bringing this up is I ask you to all please listen to the people that you serve. Please respond to emails. A board with constant turnover and minimal engagement is not good for our district. If the community could vote directly on the superintendent's employment, he would not be here another moment. He would not be, this district needs new leadership, someone who shares our values, priorities, and commitment to our children, someone who is invested in Benton City. The superintendent does not live in our community. He does not engage with us. He does not have support of his staff, families, or teachers, many of whom voted against the levy. Retaliation after this failure shows, as a refusal to listen, the district has not been put first. Let me be clear. This community wants to pass a levy. We want sports, we want art, we want music, we want counselors, we want paraeducators, we want facilities we can be proud of. We also want transparency. I understand there are legal limits, but we want real transparency, line by line of spending, not summaries. We want to know how every single dollar is spent. I have a few asks of you as a board. First, I ask you to attend a middle school softball and baseball game. Look at the fields, look at the access for families, notice the maintenance or lack thereof. Second, I'd like you to talk to the middle school softball coach about improvements that were made by her on the field. I want you to ask her about the fundraiser that she put in for and was denied and the reason behind why she was denied. I'd like you to, if you could, attend an out-of-town game for sports events. Our conditions across all sports are embarrassing by comparison. Fourth, I want to ask you to do walkthroughs of every school, and I'd like you to do them, do a surprise walkthrough. I want you to take notice of cleanliness, restrooms, overall appearances. The district rests in your guys' hands.
Thank you.
I'll send the rest of my comments to you via email. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else? Okay, then we will move on to unfinished business. Financial update, John?
Thank you. So we're continuing to work on the budget. We're actually starting to get into the revenue side of things so that we can get a better understanding of what our revenue is going to look like for the fiscal year 26-27. Obviously we have to wait for some information to come from the state and federal government, but we're working on that to, like I said, identify how much money we will have for the 26-27 year. We're continuing to look at possibilities of expense reductions, obviously focusing on minimal impact to students. No matter what, any kind of cuts we make, there is going to be an impact. So we're trying to make sure that it's minimal, especially compared to the amount of money that we might be cutting. We're continuing to meet with the county monthly to discuss, our plans, future plans, short and long term. So far, they've been pleased with the meetings and what we're wanting to do. So we'll continue to do that. And then, with the balance and cash flow situation, we're still doing a pretty good job of actually limiting expenses and not going over what our projections were. So our staff and the district office have been doing a really good job of managing that. I don't really have anything else outside of that.
Do we have any questions?
Any feedback from the state yet on the audit? I know there's moving parts on that.
There was one finding that we basically wrote up, but in my opinion was immaterial. So we'll have our closing meeting with them on May 5th. It hasn't been scheduled yet, but the auditor we've been working with told me they wouldn't have that meeting then.
Are we, I know some districts, they do have like ongoing, budget meetings, like, is there something like that that we should be doing so that we know what's actually going on before you like just hand us the budget, or is that something we should be a part of? I mean, I'm new to this, so I'm just trying to learn and know, you know.
We'll have a workshop before it actually gets proposed, so that we can review everything.
So just to clarify, the reason the delay is there is the tool that is not accessible yet for you to be working on the budget.
Correct.
So that's the biggest holdup, is the state does not allow access in a timely manner to be able to be working on that.
We can kind of estimate what it's going to be, and we're gonna be doing that. There's just one hangup with, part of the, food nutrition program, that I need to get some information back over to the state, because the information that I'm seeing doesn't sound correct. Basically, they're stating that we're not, completely at already. So what I need to do is get the last application over to them, which I should be able to this week.
Do we have an estimated date when we'll be able to see a budget or a proposed budget, or do we have a tentative date?
I would definitely say by the, end of May, at the absolute latest. On the next board meeting, I'll definitely give you an update, for a better timeline of when we can meet and go over that.
Okay. Because I know like if there's like staffing cuts, I mean, they have a limited, people will need to know as soon as possible, they have a limited time.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's why I was just asking if we have a time, that we know when that's gonna be. Okay.
And that's like communicated out through like Parent Square or social media for community input as well? Is it an open, like, community budget review meeting, or I can't think of the word I want to say, but, so there's, we aren't doing it in the dark, so people know.
So, and what, we jumped ahead, and it's not anybody's fault, because I'm gonna go over on the new business item, our 26-27 budget development. And I'm going to go through all of the items that we're going to put in place and when.
Okay.
So including a board workshop that will be open to the public, including our timelines and all that kind of stuff.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, John. We will move on to Camp Newton update.
Well, I want to heartily thank the principals of the secondary schools, Mr. Fleming, staff member at the high school, leadership class. The bottom line is that we have now successfully recruited enough camp counselors, which was our real last significant hurdle towards moving forward with Camp Wooten. So we are officially a go at this point. Have been for a couple of weeks, but we obviously didn't have a board meeting before tonight. But special thanks to the principals and Mr. Fleming especially, and other staff members who were highly involved in recruiting, perhaps even a board member or two, putting pressure on family members. But we have enough camp counselors, so we're in good shape there. So Camp Wooten is a go.
Good to hear. All right, we will move on to new business, the 26-27 school year calendar for approval.
Thank you, and you should have in your board packet what is, well, it's currently a draft, but I'm asking you to go ahead and take the draft off of it. We received approval from our 3 bargaining units. This calendar is basically, we've taken a lot of the guesswork out of it through preferred calendar, things that have already been bargained. So we're always going to tend to start around the same date. We're going to tend to end around the same date. And as anybody who's watched over the years, there's basically a 1-day shift every day, 7 days a week. We shift, and about every 7th or so years we come back around. So our first day of school is going to be 1st of September this coming year, and then we'll kind of move back from there. the usual holidays. There's nothing out of the ordinary. This is for all intents and purposes, the same calendar we've had for the past 3 years. So it is, of course, if there are issues that come up, we had this in the case of a couple of years ago, where we had to come back and do a revision, but I'm not anticipating anything, nothing regarding beginning day, end day, or holidays. Any shift would be solely to potential professional development, those types of things, and of course, snow days, you know, throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing about January or February, but we're well past that for now. But simply asking you to go ahead and approve that, and then we'll get that published and on the website, and hopefully some of the phone calls that we're getting from community will instead head to the website and they'll put that on their fridge.
I just have a question. So is there, like, is this just a school calendar, or like, is there a reason why we couldn't block or signify the dates of the school board meetings on the calendar?
We have all the school board meetings on a separate calendar, so we've got a lot of calendars.
Okay.
This is primarily for families to know the days that the kids are going to school. We have on our website event calendars, which show athletic events, school events, as well as board meetings. And then we also do have a separate calendar that was January through December, because we set those dates not at the beginning of the school year, but the beginning of the calendar year.
I think the purpose of this is mostly to know when kids should and should not be in school.
It's the academic calendar.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Okay.
Any other comments for the calendar? Motion to approve it?
I move that we approve the 26-27 school year academic calendar as proposed.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so approval of the calendar is a go. We will move on to the policy procedure 2410 and 2410P high school graduation requirements revision. Keith?
Thank you very much. We have before you tonight just simply an update to policy 2410 and 2410P. Our graduation requirements for a few years were fairly consistent. In the past few years, there have been some changes made primarily around the opportunities for kids to graduate using personal pathways versus specifically dictated credits and options. So within the high school and beyond plan, you need to choose a pathway. So for many kids, this is a determiner of where they're going after high school, whether that be to work, whether that be to an internship, college, whatever. And we're going to help you choose the proper pathway in order to get there and to achieve that. Well, some of those have been fairly rigid in past years, and over the years they've gotten less and less restrictive. So what we're doing is simply bringing our policy and procedures into place, which is less restrictive and has some locally determined options that the principal and counselor can put into place in the case of transfer students who come in late, students who just in the middle of their junior or senior year decide we're taking a different route, but they don't have time to complete the full 2-year pathway option. So it gives our administrators and counselors the freedom to adapt the program to the kids' needs to make sure they graduate. This is not a new policy or procedure, so all that we're looking for tonight is an approval so that we can put the revisions on the website. The majority procedures and policy have not changed. It's simply bringing us up to speed with the most recent WASDA models.
Did everybody get a chance to review it? Any comments? Entertain a motion to approve the policy procedure 2410 and 2410 high school graduation requirements as revised.
Make the motion to approve 2410 and 2410P as provided.
Second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will be moving on to the 26-27 budget development.
Thank you very much. So, kind of piggybacking on what we were discussing with Mr. Hassel's presentation, I wanted to give the board an update onto what some of our ground rules are when we're talking about budget development internally. Because in coming weeks, even though we won't have a full-blown draft of a budget to give you, we are going to be coming to the board with questions and suggestions and options. And that really is going to be very important for budget development, because the next two meetings will be the two meetings that we're hard at work developing that budget and then turning that around end of May, 1st of June, and presenting back to the board what you all had instructed us to do. And luckily, of course, that still is going to leave us time to make any adjustments, because it is one thing, and I've found this out over the past 8 years, it's one thing to be talking about what a budget looks like, and then to actually see it and understand what it means to programming is entirely different. But we are going to budget this coming year extremely conservatively in numbers of students. Our budget is primarily driven by a number of kids and the state allocated amount for those number of kids. That allocation comes to the district on a monthly basis. It is never exactly the same. It ebbs and flows over the course of 12 months. We have steadily declined, but slightly declined each year for probably since 21 or 22. We saw a brief uptick, believe it or not. We were one of the few during COVID that actually went up. For those of you that weren't on the board, which I'm looking down and I'm going, I don't know that anybody was actually on the board during COVID, and that's a weird thing to say. But we were one of the first school districts to come back to in-person learning. And so as a result of that, we saw a bump in our enrollment as some kids transferred from neighboring school districts to ours to come back sooner. That lasted about 2 years, and then we had seen slight decreases as most rural small districts around our region have been, and even our big districts have seen declining enrollment. In fact, the entire state has. Last year, and John, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe we budgeted at $1,250.
Sounds close.
I'm pretty sure it was right at $1,250. It will be less. And if we're following the numbers as we've gone across, between 20 and 30 kids per year is what we've been declining, and what we've been projecting then in our budgets as a decline. I think our hard bottom number this year is going to be 1,200, which could be a much more impactful shift, and we'll have to see exactly how those numbers come out. I don't anticipate hitting 1,200 FTE. I think we'll be higher. However, we are not going to be caught in a situation where we're projecting a budget and then come in under that projection, because that means during school cuts, and we do not want to do that. So, if anything, I would like to project low, and then if we come in higher, that is an increase in revenue that we didn't budget for, which is a good way to do things. As of right now, we have had 9 resignations or retirements, which is a significant amount. Again, Many of you have heard about the McCleary fix from 2018, where the state changed how they funded basic ed allocation. And what we public school districts in this state saw was a decline in retirement following some large increases to salaries across the state. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that your retirement benefit is entirely based upon your average, the highest 5-year average of your salary. So that means as folks saw a larger chunk of change coming their way in the form of salary, they needed to go 4 to 5 years in order to have that then reflected in their pensions. And we knew when we started seeing this that at some point we would get to the point where people start hitting that 5 years and they stop sticking around. And I really think that this is the beginning year of that fundamental shift. And far be it from us to be alone in this, because every district is going to see a floodgate of retirements of people who are able. And quite frankly, we're not seeing graduates coming out at an equal pace, but the fiscal situation in the state and in most school districts, in the form of RIFs and reductions of program, there are a number of teachers available, most of them with 1, 2, 3 years of experience. So I'm not anticipating once we get around to doing hiring that we will have any shortage, but it's a unique time to see all of these people who have been eligible to retire finally choosing to. And so we're going to probably see a couple of years of rather large numbers of retirements. So with that in mind, when we're looking at the discussion around reduction in force and whether or not the district is going to need to do that, when we first started talking about this in January, February, the answer was a resounding yes. And as time goes by and more people are resigning or retiring, that number of forced reductions is significantly dropping. And I see Cole over there, he's hiding behind the podium, but he and I have actually had the conversation. It is not a good feeling to have that conversation with teachers that we're planning on not bringing you back next year. So the longer we can wait while still being within the guidelines of the contract and the guidelines of our policies, the longer we can wait, the better, because I can tell you 2 more retirements in specific areas and there will be no forced reduction. Yes, sir.
I had a question, and it's just like next to the store. All those new houses.
Yes.
Which are now being sold and actively lived in, one section. Only because I know one of the guys that works out there. They have now upped and speeded up the second half and now you're actually seeing them put in roads. It was probably gonna take a little bit longer, but it's not. And it turns out where I live, they jerked out the cherry orchard and they've got 4 new houses and they're planting another 3 there. And then they're gonna shut it off because there's a good view and they're gonna try to sell it as a new property down there. But have we looked at what the impact of that, what would that be as far as numbers of students?
We know what our numbers, what we are projecting them at, all things being equal, meaning 1.5 kids per household. However, that is not translating at the moment. So out of the 22 houses that have been sold in that property, we have not seen any new enrollment because of that. We do know some folks who have kids, but they're moving from within the school system already. So while the projection, and especially working with the city, was all well and good, we haven't seen the impact yet. Now, 22 is a far cry from the 209 that are projected to go in there. So will we see an increase? I anticipate yes. I do not anticipate it being the 1.5 that the mayor or city council bought into at the time that the development was moved on. Quite frankly, the houses, those are not starter level income homes. So your young families, I'm not sure could afford to get into those homes. That's why you see some of the second time home buyers moving in. I actually, believe it or not, I anticipate us to see as much, if not more, impact from the apartment slash townhouses that are going up across from the middle school more quickly than we see an impact from Cherry. I'm trying to think of the name of the development, I can't remember it. Yes, we're seeing a significant number of homes being built, but at this point we have not seen an impact. We know what it's going to be projected out at.
The apartments, townhouses across from the middle school, how many units is that? I mean, is that something that was taken into consideration when they, because that kind of went in fast.
It went in fast, and I'll be honest, no one at the school district knew anything about it until they were moving dirt. And I want to say it's 32.
So that sounds like it probably will have a higher impact than the.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a bigger impact from that than we do see, at least until initially, until we see the more than 20 some odd homes, even if they're now breaking ground on the phase 2, which will still max us out, I believe 85 homes there. We may start to see some things there, but it's not, from a school standpoint, there is not a massive influx or even any influx at this point. So with that, with the timelines that I laid out, we did meet with the county last week. One of the things that I did describe to the county is they're working on helping us work through the financial difficulties that we're having, and Ken Spencer gave us kudos, especially to John and to Mona, with the work that they're doing. One of the things I had to bring up is, we have a bit of a catch-22 because as more and more people retire, July turns into the biggest payroll hit of the entire year because we are paying out sick leave, all of the accrued leaves that people get quite a number of as you get to that age when you retire. We have to cash those out. So you actually get the highest percentage, the highest 3 months of state allocation is June, July, and August. And we have some of the highest payrolls during those months because of those shifts. So short term creates a little bit of an obstacle, but then as I explained to Ken at the last meeting, over the long term, it's huge. Because that's just recurring, a decrease in recurring expenditures. So, and then as John said, we will start working with the projection tools when they're available, but we do and will schedule at least 1, if not 2, public board workshops for the month of May. Past practice has been that we will typically do one on a Friday morning time open to the public here in the boardroom, and then it would be my suggestion we have an evening event. I used to say opposite of athletics, but I'm not unconvinced that maybe if we did it around the same time, before or after, we might get some flow through. So, but I'll work with Gina on some dates that she can get out to the board, and then we can coordinate that and get them on the calendar for May. So, with all of those things being said and done, then we will hopefully have a draft budget proposal to the board for, if not our last meeting in May, our first meeting in June. And then that'll be the draft. We'll have a month to refine that. And again, plenty of opportunity for folks to come and make comments if they like. And then move to a final budget adoption in our meeting in July. Okay? That's where we're heading, and that's where we're going. And of course, as I said, over the next couple of board meetings, you'll see many more details, a lot more asks of us to give us guidance in certain areas.
I'm assuming that the 26-27 budget will also be reviewed by the county as they, once we get it put together or just at least in their discussions, their monthly meetings that you have with them?
I think it'll be a discussion point. The budget, of course, is a projection and a map of where we're going. And realistically, our meetings with the county are primarily around what's real right now. They're much more focused on ensuring that we return to a positive monthly cash flow, the in and out, kind of your daily bank account versus what you have in the savings account. They're more concerned on day to day. But I can tell you that OSPI will be looking, as well as the ESD, at our budget projections and our budget proposals for 26-27. It won't be just our eyes on it. It'll be two other public entities.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said we're losing 20 to 30 kids, possibly 50 this year. Is that higher than average than other schools, or is that pretty average across the state?
It is very average across the state and not as high as some other local school districts that are our size. I like to compare apples to apples, but the districts that are smaller than us even are seeing a higher rate of decrease than we are. And I can't speak for Richland specifically, but I know in my conversations with Dr. Redinger and with Travis and their finance department, and the same goes true with the other big Pasco and Kennewick, they're all seeing a very good decline. And as more and more districts are looking at making cuts, which is virtually everyone at this point, you see, I think, people relocating kids to districts that more match their preferred strength areas. So in other words, if you have a really good AP program and you're an AP kid, you're going to try and pull your kid out and you're going to go over across the river or to an IB program. Nobody ever transfers in this region for sports, so I don't want to bring up football or basketball. But they're taking things like that into more of an account. So as you see cuts in certain areas, you will see more people relocate. But public education in general, state of Washington is down across the board.
Is there any correlation to the age group as far as like kids graduating out and not additional kids re-enrolling? Like maybe there's just not as many kids of that age group, or just in general, it's across the board, kids leaving and moving and shifting?
Well, we definitely see the shifts, but to a district, for instance, this current school year, last school year, our 2 kindergarten classes coming in, I don't know of any school district here in this ESD that had a kindergarten class as big as their graduating seniors. That's the simple truth. When I first came to Benton City in 2018, we could look back like clockwork on the fact that we were going to get between 105 and 110 kindergartners every year. We have not broken 100 in the last 3 years, and I don't see it happening next year. And we had one run in there of kindergartners 2 years ago that was 61 and has only since risen up into the 80s And that was a down year again across the region. Everybody's kindergarten class that year was exceptionally small. And again, some of that's COVID related. But the kids coming into kindergarten right now across the board do not equal the number of kids graduating out of the system.
The 9 retirement resignations, what, like on a rough number, what's that percentage of teaching staff?
Right at 10%. We have 90 or so certificated staff on any given day, so you get 9 of them resigning or retiring, that's a big number. Typical, 3 to 5, with a couple years of variation beyond that, but this is, I think we have a very real chance. In fact, I'd be very surprised if we didn't hit double digits this year. And then the financial impact of those, as well as potential replacements, are going to be for the next board meeting. We'll go down those specifically line by line.
So we'll see net net.
Yep, exactly. And that's what I have as far as budget development.
Thank you for that, Kenny. We will move on to board comments. Well, it's been a while since we've been here. Kind of forgot what you guys all look like.
I have a comment. I might not be the smartest on the group or on the board, but I know a lot of people in the community, and so a lot of people come to me and they have a lot of questions, and so I feel like I have this duty to like clear up some of the questions, or but there is a lot of anxiety in the community. Very, very nervous people. They don't know, if their kids are gonna have sports and everything. So it's very important that we're very clear and transparent on what we're doing, because they are very nervous. I have people contacting me constantly, and all the rumors that are going around, and we heard this person's leaving and this, and we just need to make sure that we are very transparent in telling the community what is going on.
Absolutely.
I had a comment about the whole softball situation. My main question is, why was a coach doing the maintenance on the grounds? Why wasn't the grounds prepared before her season? So that was my main question. And then if she's doing this work out there, she can't finish it now because somebody has to supervise her. She's not getting the supervision to be able to get it done. So her kids are having to walk up to the middle school or the high school, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so is that gonna be fixed soon, or are they just gonna be finishing out the season at the high school?
No, I've been in regular contact with Bruce, and one of the things that I need to be a little bit careful, because we have had some personnel related meetings about this. And what I can tell you is that many of the things that are currently being said out there are very much like the things that you were talking about a few minutes ago. They are incorrect. And the fact of the matter is that when we gave approval for certain things to happen, and a process to follow, that there were changes made without our knowledge, and now we're in the process of coming to agreements on how we're going to fix that.
Okay.
And we're simply waiting for some folks to get back to us with some suggestions that we can then put in place. But I guarantee that Bruce and Mr. Crago in maintenance are ready to go with those things as soon as we get the proper plan to move forward, and then we'll put the plan in place.
Okay.
And I feel bad having in a public session to be not as specific as I would like, but I can certainly brief the board further as there are some personnel related items related to this.
Well, my question is I don't understand why the coach was doing this, renting the equipment and doing this herself. Why wasn't her field prepared for her season beforehand? I mean, I'm sure baseball was prepared, and I'm sure the soccer field was prepared.
So all I can tell you is that all of our facilities were ready to go at the beginning of the season, according to what the district needed to do to make them ready. Any changes made after that were not instigated by the district, and even further, went farther than the agreement on any work that was to be performed. And so now we're having to pick up the pieces for things that we didn't necessarily agree 100% with that happened. But we're ready and willing to make them right as soon as we have a plan in place to do so.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Booster Club. I'm hoping that we can somehow get the word out that we need to get this, like a Booster Club going. So anybody that's listening, wants to get this going, we really need a Booster Club. So it would help us tremendously.
I know that because the lapse of the previous one, it's gonna have to start from scratch.
Right.
Was my understanding.
Yes, it does.
Yep.
So it's gonna have to be, they have to get the 503C, and that alone's going to take some time if anybody's actually willing to take that on.
I think that's where, the booster clubs tend to be the liaison between the sports teams and the school district. I think that's where some of the, misconceptions or, things that are happening because you have these one-off things and there's no central clearinghouse for those types of things. I agree with you 100%, Tressa. We need a booster club to help not only, in the absence of a levy, but also just for consistency and, improvements across the district that aren't necessarily, in the best interest of the district spending specifically district money on those types of things. So I think that's a critical next step.
I think that those booster clubs will become very key when you do have a levy. Because they have an understanding of what's going on, not from here's what the proposal is, but here's what they're addressing. And the more you can get that lined up, the more voters say, okay, that fixes the problem, or that helps the problem. And having been through a few levies here, that's something you really need to address to the public.
I think it's something that I went to first girls game on Friday and then the remainder of the walk-off win for the boys game on Friday. And the level of, community and fans and stuff was very, very positive. I thought, I think that's an opportunity that we figure out a path in terms of, at these sporting events, having some type of flyer, or, hey, are you interested in Booster Club, those types of things, because, I know if you're gonna sit out there, and go to these games, you're invested already. And having something, that, or, a banner or something, that says, hey, if you're interested, let's have some conversations, whether that's a QR code or whatever. But I was impressed with how many folks were at both the softball and the baseball games, so.
Yeah. It was a very, very nice day for baseball, which is why I was out there.
5 pitches, that's all, Heidi's team. 5 pitches made the difference. Great athletes on both teams, though.
Do we have any other board comments? We will move on to the superintendent's report. Pete?
Well, with everything else that we talked about today, we happened to check off a couple of the things on my list, but The two that I do have left, we began bargaining with the certificated union today. I had an all-day meeting with teachers over at the WE office in Kennewick, and it was a really good day. Probably as successful a first day of bargaining as I can remember being here. They did a really nice job. Everybody came prepared. And quite frankly, we got down to making decisions and having conversations very quickly, which isn't always the case. And that's neither here nor there. It's just sometimes you need to kind of feel out how things are going to go. Everybody came prepared, from our team to their team, and then exchanging proposals and discussions about meeting. We made a lot of significant progress, and quite frankly, it was more so than I had anticipated. So kudos to everyone involved on both sides. And then I want to make the board aware, you're going to start seeing some emails coming your way with dates for the end of the year. So as you check your emails, make sure you may be seeing invitations, you may be seeing notices. I happened to click one today for kindergarten graduation. You're going to start seeing end of year concerts, end of year events and things like that. So I just wanted to make you aware, check your emails every once in a while. And we will try and get that information to you in addition to those that come directly from the staff, but it's the fun time of year. It's coming up. So with that, that's the end of my report.
All right, we will move on to executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110, Section 1G, performance of a public employee, Section 1C, consider the minimum price at which real estate will be offered for sale and at least 60 minutes no business to follow. Richard?
Everyone?
Bye, guys.